Hi Louise, good to see you. Thanks for joining us today. So I'll crack straight on and jump into our first question, if that's okay. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about Pikl and how you first started.
So Pikl is an insurtech, which is focused on the sharing economy market. So we basically have started doing insurance for the Airbnb market, and we're one of the first people worldwide to provide insurance products for that marketplace.
Fantastic. And so how did you kind of come to starting Pikl, and how did you spot the gap in the market?
So I've worked in the insurance market my whole career, which is a little over 20 years now, and I've spent a lot of time doing home insurance, motor insurance over the years. And it was when I was actually doing quite a lot of traveling for my work back in 2015, 2016, that I got a bit sick and tired of staying in hotels. And a colleague of mine said, "Have you stayed in an Airbnb instead?" And so we did. And it was kind of sort of light bulb moment, really, of hang on a minute, these people aren't insured. And I'd been sort of talking to a group of colleagues of mine for a number of years about us developing a business together, and we were just looking for the right kind of niche in the market and opportunity. And when I realised this market was emerging, it just seemed like the right opportunity for us. So we started in earnest in late 2016 to build the business.
Okay, and so at what point, where were you in your kind of journey when you thought, okay, we're ready now to go and seek some angel investment?
So it was probably in late 2018, early 2019 that I first started going out for angel investment. So at that point, we'd spent, almost 2 years in development, building a product. We'd been able to go out and get what's called underwriting capacity, which is basically the kind of investment round you have to do for insurance businesses so that you can underwrite products and you can then pay the cost of claims. So we'd managed to get a kind of a product developed, and we got it out to market. We'd done our first pilot, so we'd had sales running for probably about 3 or 4 months, enough to show sufficient proof of concept. And we got to the point where we realised, hang on a minute, this is doing well. We can't continue to manage this and grow the business with the resources that we've got. So it was time for us to sort of bring on our first permanent employees, because it had just been my founding team that far. We'd all been bootstrapping it and putting our own money in and working for free. So we needed to be able to get properly set up in terms of employees, marketing budgets and things like that. And so we realised, right, this is the time we need to go for our first investment round. And the first round that we did was roughly £500,000, and it was all angel investment.
So you found ACG because obviously you're local to us. You're based in Norwich, and we're Norfolk and Suffolk based. So what was it like, that first pitch to the ACG Angels?
So I think ACG was in fact my first pitch that I ever did. So what I would say is it was actually a really welcoming environment, and they were I think used to people like myself that were there doing the first pitch. So it was a very nice place to do it. And of course, you've also got people who are there specifically because they want to invest in local talent. So it was lovely. I was very fortunate that there was a chap there called Patrick Smith, who was from an insurance background himself. He's a founder. He'd actually worked with a couple of people in my team. A couple of people in my team had actually been part of his original startup. He invested. We got a number of other ACG investors to come in as well. So that really just kick-started our round. We got probably about half the money, I would say, from the ACG investors, and that helped us to then go out to other angel investors and get more interest as well. So it was, all in all, it was a really good experience, if nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I can imagine. So all angel investors are obviously a great source of capital, but also advice and support as well for early stage businesses. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how your angels have supported you in your business to help you get to where you are today.
Yeah, I've had so much support along the way. I mean, whether it was Patrick, who first invested in us, giving us advice. I was very fortunate later on. I did another seed round where we raised 2.5 million, and I got Sir Peter Wood, who was the founder of Direct Line, in as the major investor in that round. And Sir Peter has been, massively influential on the development of Pikl. He's helped us with deals. He's helped us get capacity with insurers. He's generally pointed us in the right direction. He's told us when he thinks that we're not doing things in a good way. So he's been there to challenge us and encourage us. And that also goes for many other angel investors as well. I've got a very supportive board. My chairman Stuart has been a founder himself, and he has been able to really understand and appreciate where I am in my learning curve as a CEO and help to coach me. So many other people. Catherine Riley was one of my first investors, and she just the introductions that they've done, the pieces of advice. And I think I've been very lucky to get lots of angel investors with lots of different areas of expertise. So if I have a problem, if I'm like, I don't know what to do about working with this insurer, I know who to ring. If I need an understanding of a problem that I've got in risk space or with the FCA regulation, I've got somebody that I can ring. And they're always there, on point to help us. So I'd say, that help and support and the introductions has been absolutely invaluable to my business. And it's been almost more valuable than the cash itself.
That's interesting you say that. I know we were speaking earlier and you mentioned developing experts and Sarah Minty, and you pitched at the same time, and she said exactly the same thing as you when we did a Q&A with her. So that's really interesting to hear.
Yes, we were very lucky. We ended up, I think, walking away with 2 of the same angel investors.
Fantastic. So I just wanted to change topic slightly here and just have a chat to you about your experience as a female founder. So I pulled a stat recently, that current figures from the Female Founders Forum, that show there's about 15% of equity funding is received by female founders. And I just wondered what your experience was and whether you can see any gaps where we need to support female founders to close that equity funding gap, and what your experience have been.
Yeah, I mean, I think as well as being a female founder, my heritage is Black African on my mother's side, so I really do tick quite a lot of diversity boxes when it comes to that side of things. I think when I've gone out to pitching events, and I've been to a lot of pitching events since, it's very notable that there are not very many female founders, and also not very many founders of colour as well. And I don't really know why that is. I haven't personally found much racism or sexism in any of the conversations that I've had. I've generally found people very open and very willing to listen. And of course, there are funds that are specifically trying to help women, and many of my angel investors are specifically trying to help women, which has been fantastic. I'm not sure it would have necessarily changed the outcome of their investing in me or not. I think it was the idea in a business that sold it. But I think that it could well be to do with the different life paths and opportunities that people have getting to this stage of starting a business. So many women will take time out of their career with children, and it's the same problem that you see in companies where women don't make it into necessarily the executive teams and the boards, because perhaps their careers are a bit slower because of that time that's taken out. And I think as equally as well for people of colour, you see very few coming through the insurance market. In any case, it's seen as a very old old school boy sort of out of date industry, and it's desperately trying to change that. And I know that there's a younger generation that are starting to come through that are very much more diverse, but it's taking a long time. So really, I hope that this will start to work through over the next generations. We'll see more female founders coming through, and hopefully it's if we can encourage people to still start businesses even perhaps after they've had children, and things like that, that's probably a really good thing to look at doing.
And you're flying the flag there, so it's great to see, and it's great to hear that you've had a positive experience yourself, so that's really positive news. So speaking of positive news, what's been your proudest moment at Pikl?
I don't know if I can probably pick one proudest moment. I've had lots of moments that stick out on my journey for various reasons. I was super proud when we launched our first product. I was really proud when we got that first angel investment. I was overwhelmed when we got the 2.5 million raise done with Sir Peter Wood that came in. You know, I was really pleased when we won one of our first biggest partnerships, Go Compare, and more recently we won a partnership with Confused.com as well, and also with Sykes Cottages. And actually Sykes Cottages, that one's been particularly special because in many of the deals we've done before, it's been sort of me going out and pitching as the founder, but I think Sykes was the first time that it was my team that went out and pitched. So it was kind of that proud moment of, hang on a minute, they've grown, they've done it themselves, you know. It's like, you know, seeing a child, I don't know, walk or something for the first time. So I'm really proud. So many proud moments there to pick from, and you know, as I say, we're growing more every day, and the team never cease to amaze me with the things that they're now doing.
Well, that's great to hear. So how about your toughest challenge then? I'm sure you've faced a few along the way.
Yes, there have been. I mean, being a founder is tough at the best of times, but being a founder just when you've launched in the middle of a global pandemic is certainly out there. Yes. So I mean, I think, you know, the pandemic has probably been the biggest thing that we had to deal with. You know, unfortunately, in the first lockdown, we'd only just been going a year. And revenue was, you know, really starting to grow month on month. We were getting really great traction, and then we lost 90% of our revenue in that first lockdown because the markets were closed. So, you know, in 2020, our business basically couldn't really trade for 7 months, and we couldn't really trade for 4 months in 2021. And so, you know, that was such a massive impact on us, not only from loss of revenue, but from the loss of continuous traction. You know, having to get people back in, furlough them, get people back in, try and get the message out into the market again. So it was, you know, very frustrating times for all of my team. We did lose quite a few people, you know, because of it, because of the environment. But, you know, now we've been in a fantastic position where, you know, touch wood, we seem to move beyond the point of lockdowns anyway with the pandemic. And, you know, we've now had, you know, continuous traction for 12 months. We've been able to build on that, really grow, and it's, you know, the business is doing what we always knew it would do once we had that freedom to move. But that's, you know, that pandemic has probably, you know, got to have been the hardest thing that we've had to pick up and deal with.
Yeah, well, hopefully we're through the worst of it now. So now that you're, you know, a seasoned founder, what's your advice any advice you could give our current crop of startups who gearing up to their first pitch, our next event?
Well, it's a tough time, you know, to be going to raise angel investment, because not only have we had a pandemic which has drained a lot of the angels' capital resources because they've been helping their portfolio companies get through the last few years. But also we're now facing into, you know, the stock markets being in a very terrible place with the Ukraine war as well. So, you know, capital is really at a premium at the moment, and you've got to be, you know, really good to be able to get that cash from angels. And they're going to be asking so many more questions than they did a few years ago, because many of them will have lost investments over the pandemic where businesses didn't survive. So I think if you're going to ask for that cash, just be really aware that, you know, you are ready. You've perhaps got a proof of concept already done. You can show that you've got some traction. You know, you've got a really good reason why that angel should be putting their faith in you at this moment and believing that you're going to be able to get through the recession that we're clearly going to be seeing over the next couple of years, that you're going to be a safer bet than them having it in a bank somewhere. And be really clear about, you know, how your business will be affected by the recession, and probably challenge yourself around how, you know, what are the essential things that you need to get done, really only raising cash for those things that you really essentially need to get done in order to show, you know, the proof of concept of revenue in your business, and that you've got the right sort of defensive moat as well, so that whatever area it is that you're going into, you know that you can face up against competition, or you're not going to have any competition, because only those businesses in that really strong position of limited or no competition, I think, are going to be the ones that can survive and go through. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, really interesting to get your viewpoint on that. Yeah, it's a tough time, as you say, so it will be interesting over the next few months to see how things play out. So last question then for me really is just spinning forwards. Can you give us an update on where you are and any plans for the future that you're able to share would be great to hear.
Yeah, so Pikl has been really flying over the last few months. We're growing 300% year on year at the moment. We've already insured over 2.5 million nights on Airbnb, and we're just sort of heading towards. We're very close to £1 million net revenue run rate at the moment. So so that means we're hopefully ticking all the boxes to start our Series A investment round in the autumn, which is quite a big milestone for us as a business. And as well as the Airbnb market, which we've been obviously growing in for the last few years, we're also looking to launch into the shared mobility market space, which is quite a broad market space, including vehicle subscriptions, looking at peer-to-peer, car sharing, and sort of micro mobility and things like that. So we're hoping to expand our portfolio as we go. So it's really exciting times for Pikl at the minute. The team is about 40 strong at the moment, and we hope to be able to sort of buck the economic trends over the next few years with those marketplaces which are growing, and be able to carry on supporting supporting those sharing economy markets, and obviously the local community here as well with jobs in Norwich. So really pleased with where we are.
Fantastic, thank you. Thank you, Louise. It's been really, really interesting to talk to you today, and for being so open and sharing so much of your journey. It's been really fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Laura. It's been a pleasure to be with you.